I was molested when I was little, so I have a lot of men issues, I guess you would say. And with my dad not being in the picture, when I turned 11, I lost my virginity. And I saw myself as basically a whore or a prostitute in that sense. I couldn't put that word on it at the time, but I just felt dirty. So after this whole situation happened when I was 11, I said, I'm going to find myself a boyfriend and I'm going to stick with him. And I did. I stuck with him until I was about 14. And then when we broke up, I was devastated because that was my whole life. That's all I knew. And then I sought someone else, and that was the father of my children, and I stuck and stayed with him. So it was more of me saying, you know what? As long as I'm in a relationship, I'm not dirty. So me not being dirty, put me in a situation where I stayed in a violent relationship for 19 years because I didn't want to let that go and feel dirty again. I just felt like I was nothing. And because I felt like I was nothing, I acted like I was nothing. And I got heavy into drugs and alcohol. And all the while not realizing that I was battling a lot of anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, depression kicked in. They wanted to put me on medication and Prozac, but I wouldn't do it because I didn't want to become a drug addict. So I resorted to the alcohol instead because to me that was normal. I started off going to clubs, but when I would go to clubs, I couldn't just go to a club and have a drink or two. I had to black out at the club, where people had to carry me home. And that went on for a while, and then I was introduced to cocaine and ecstasy. And I had lost my childhood from having my daughter so early. So when I got access to that and that lifestyle, I loved it, and I really thought that I could control it for a while. But then it progressed quickly, and there wasn't a day that went by that I had to every single day drink a gallon or a half gallon of vodka. I couldn't go to the grocery store without a cup in my hand. I just couldn't function at all without alcohol in my system. The alcohol made me invincible. I thought I could do anything. Thought I could conquer the world. It gave me courage. It allowed me to not have the anxiety. I could actually go out of the house. I could do daily tasks that you really can't do, especially when you're so feared up where you just don't want to leave the house. But there was also a downside to it. I was really bad to my kids. I wasn't present in their lives. I wouldn't get them up in the morning because I wouldn't wake up until 3 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon. My daughter, who's now 21, basically raised my 8-year-old and my 13-year-old because I just couldn't do it. I don't remember them when they were babies. I just wasn't there. And I got into some legal trouble based on my alcohol and visited jail a few times. When I actually went to jail in Adams County, Pennsylvania, I remember sitting in the jail cell, and they talk about spiritual awakenings in our fellowship. And the first time I was there, I was actually detoxing. I had detoxed in a one-man cell, and I had a really bad detox. And once I came out of that detox a little bit, I remember saying, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. And I asked for treatment in jail. But I remember going to probation, and I remember my probation officer telling me, he said, I only know one other person that made it when they were in your circumstance. He said, but I really believe in you. I believe you can make it. And when he said that, I don't know, something just really just clicked in me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to make it. And I just kept pushing forward. And once I got finished and I actually started working as a peer specialist, I wrote him a thank you note and told him, I really appreciate it because you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. In the beginning, when I decided to get a job, I got a job just to pay probation. It was very humbling. It was humbling to go from being a purchasing manager to a cashier at a wing place. But I was the best cashier at that wing place, and I showed up every day, and it taught me accountability and responsibility. It gave me what I needed. I was able to pay my probation. I was able to go to treatment, my intensive outpatient. I was able to go to my fellowship meetings. So it gave me everything I needed, not everything I wanted. And I just kept following that path. And I accepted where I was, and as soon as I did, opportunities started to open. And that's how I ended up being a peer specialist, And from there, once I got that job, it was that service work, that helping somebody else through the process of recovery that I really strived for, and I kept pushing forward with that. And for once in my life, I was able to get myself out there and do what I needed to do and what I wanted to do without any substance in me. I didn't have to drink. I didn't have to do drugs. That little girl, Brandee, that little girl that was before 11 years old, that one that had the ambition and would talk to anybody, was back. And today, I have dignity and self-respect for myself. I just, like, something in me is lit up now that wasn't before. And that integrity, I have integrity today. I never in a million years would have ever thought that I would ever have anybody look at me with integrity. How amazing is that? My kids look at me with integrity and love. Like, I would never ever give that up for the world. Never. There are times I think about using still sometimes. That doesn't go away. But at the same time, everything that I've built, and I'm not talking about the built. I'm talking about inside what I've built for myself and who I am today. When I say I want to change the world, I do. I want to change the world, like, on a macro level. And I know the only way to do that is start with one person at a time. And I think that's where a lot of people get misconstrued, is that they want to change everything. But just me going through that journey and that process of recovery has not only changed my life, it changed 4 of my children forever. Chino, my 8-year-old, the other day, he said, "Mom, how many degrees are you going to get?" I said, "Oh, probably 4, He said, "Well, do you have goals?" I said, "I absolutely have goals." He said, "Well, I have goals too." He said, "And I just want to let you know, one of them is to buy a house. The other one is to be a quarterback. And I'm going to get 4 degrees just like you." That's a huge difference from when my now husband picked up my 13-year-old when she was about 8. And she said, "I want to be a whore just like Mommy." So you take that. Nobody can call me that today. Nobody, even their father, they can't call me that today. So it's totally changed their perspectives and their world. That's what this is all about. People ask me all the time, if you could go back, would you change it? And tell you the truth, I don't think so. I wouldn't be where I am, who I am, or have found that place in my life where I'm completely happy. I've always been searching for happiness. And I've always looked outside at external things if I just had more money, if I just had this, or if I just had that, then I would be happy. If I had a good man, I'd be happy. And I really had to realize that I had to work on myself and what was inside, and then everything else just fell into place, But I think that has to do with the fact that I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with who the woman I've become. How amazing is that?